Very good morning to all of you. Most welcome to the DKP EDU-PLUS YouTube channel. Dear friends, I'm feeling very happy to inform to all of you. Maximum students, they're enjoying the YouTube video and giving some positive comments. That particular positive comment inspiring to me going for the next video. Before starting my class, just a request to all the YouTube students. Please like the channel, subscribe the channel and share the channel. If you are doing these three activities, I am highly motivated to prepare my next video. Dear friends, my concept is upon the general principle of teaching. And before going to the general concept of the teaching, just I want to inform to all of you, this particular concept is very much useful for the +3 second semester students, education honors students, and also those students that are preparing for the OTT exam, OSTT exam, and also for the UGC NET, the paper 1. This particular content is also very much useful this particular group of the students. But anyway, dear friends, let's move for the contents. Before going to the content, just I want to say to all of you, make ready to yourself, sit in a calm and quiet place, have a earphone, have a copy and also a pen with you. Follow the video, try to make your concept note in your copy by which you are in a position to understand the concept so easily. Again, I want to say to all of you, if you are facing any problem, you write down the problem, you can write down your problem and difficulties and you can share to me in the message box. Dear friends, let's move for the concepts. My concept is upon the general principle of a teaching. Dear friends, before going to the general principle of a teaching, just I want to say to all of you, what do you understand the principle means? Then you can go back to the general principle of teaching. Before going to the concept, I want to say here the principle means what do I understand the principles? The principles are the pathway which helps the individual to achieve the targets. That means each individual they are having a target. In order to reaching at the target so easily, you have to find out the path. You have to find out the way. That is known as the principles. In a simple language, if I am telling to all of you what the principle means a set of rules. And if I am talking about the principle of teaching, I can say very easily the principle of teaching means a set of rule and a regulation. If the teacher paying respect to that particular rule and regulation, the teacher in a position making teaching learning process so easy inside the classroom. For this reason, I can say the principle of teaching is a reason for the effective teaching. In order to become an effective teacher, you have to maintain some rules. You have to find out the right pathway by which you can able to achieve your target group. You can achieve your targets. Difference again. If I look into the principle of teaching, the principle of teaching broadly divided into two categories. One is general principle of teaching, second one the psychological principle of teaching. Let's see, my focus points for today's class is general principle of teaching. I hope this particular slide is very much clear with my students, and if is there any problem, you can share with me in my chat box. I can comply your problem in my next video. Let's move the general principle of teaching. Dear friends, I hope all of you enjoying this video, and if you are not done the like, share and subscription, please do this activity as far as possible within the few moments. Your like, share and subscription is giving me highly motivation to me by which I can proceed each points very thoroughly, because as a teacher I need a motivation also, because the students motivation highly inspire the teacher while the teacher teaching inside the classroom, and because you are not in front of me, because your like and share and subscription always giving a feel to me, students are always with me. Okay, let's move for the points. Let's move for the concepts. The principle of definite aim. The teaching should start with a defining the aim and objective. The teacher and students must clear about the goal of the teaching and learning. Difference. One thing I want to say to all of you, as a teacher, while you are going to the classroom, you must have a definite aim. What you want to teach inside the classroom? what activity you want to perform inside the classroom. That means there must be a definite aim. That definite aim should be clear by the students, by the teacher. And it helps them to be in the track. That means if you are having a definite aim and you are trying to reaching at the definite aim within inside the classroom, that means you are in the right track. When the goals and objectives of the lessons are determined properly, it will help a teacher to plan, to execute, to evaluate the phases of teaching learning process. That means while the teacher define the definite aim, what they want to do inside the classroom, that definite aim helps a teacher to make a plan. That definite aim helps a teacher how to execute inside the classroom. That definite aim helps a teacher how and also in the evaluation phases. From this, I am so much clear. As a teacher, whenever you are going to the classroom, you must have a definite aim. And if you are having a definite aim, no doubt your classroom is going to be so sound, your classroom is going to be so easy, and the students that are enjoying your lesson as much as possible. As a teacher, you must have a definite aim. In a single sentence, I want to express here, definite aim means you should clear what you want to do inside the classroom. That's the thing. I hope this particular principle is so much clear by the students community. Hope they understood this particular points. Let's move for the next second point, the principle of a planning. The friends, if we're talking about the planning, I'm telling very frankly, the success of the personal life, success of the in the academic life, and success of the classroom activity, I think so depends upon the plan. The teacher must have a good plan. For this reason, if you are looking at the functions of the teacher must be a good planner. Anyway, we are coming back to the principle of a planning. The planning in teaching is very important step. Teacher must plan properly before coming to the actual classroom teaching. That means before coming to your actual classroom teaching, teacher must have an appropriate plan. The successful teaching learning process highly depends upon the teacher's plan. That means how much you are going to be success inside the classroom, how much you are going to the failure inside the classroom, that depends upon how you are making a plan before coming back to the classroom. That means before coming to the actual classroom, teacher doing a lot of homework. The planning includes the lesson plan. Difference inside the plan, the teacher had inside the planning, the teacher have to make a lesson plan. A lesson plan means how the teacher want to teach inside the classroom. Then the teacher have to introduce the lesson. Then the teacher can go for the explanation. The teacher go for the evaluation. That means the three steps I can say. One is the introduction. Then after the introduction, the teacher have to come back to the second step, that is known as the explanation. The third one is the evaluation. Evaluation. The three steps the teacher have to reflect in the lesson plan. Then after that, the teacher should taking in this particular plan during the planning stage, the teacher have to take a decision how to use the teaching aids, and when the teacher want to use the teaching aid, the teacher should be clear, and what type of a teaching aid the teacher want to use, whether the teacher want to use the visual aids, whether the teacher want to use the audio aids, whether the teacher want to use the audio and video aids, because the teaching aid always making teaching learning process more effective. Then after that, you can come back to strategy and the method of teaching. I want to say to all of you, as a teacher during planning during the principle of planning, you should have to take a decision which method of teaching you want to use. And I want to say here, while you are choosing one method of teaching, you should keep in mind the two things supposed to be in your minds: the nature of students and the nature of contents. If you are able to know these two terms, I'm telling very frankly, your classroom is going to be so wonderful. And if you know who is your target group and what is my content, you are in a position to deliver the lesson very successfully. I can give a best example. Suppose my content is history. My target group is class 6. Here I can choose the best method is what? The storytelling methods. Another things you can go for also. Suppose it is a class 10, my content is geography. I can choose the demonstration is the best methods. But anyway, I can say here as a teacher, if you know the principle of planning, then I think so your classroom is going to be something different from other teachers. Anyway, the principle of a definite aim and principle of planning, I think so it is clear by the students. If any confusion, you can share me in the message box also. But anyway, let's go back for the next points. Difference. So another things I want to say to all of you, the another general principle of teaching I want to share here, the principle of a utilization of a past experience. All of you know better, experience always a great teacher. We are telling the experience always a greater teacher for us. In effective teaching, the teacher must start a lesson with a question to know about the student's previous knowledge. Difference, one thing I want to share, if you want to be a successful teacher, before starting your actual teaching, you should know the previous knowledge of the students, because the previous knowledge of the students always helping a teacher to construct the new concept inside the classroom. As a teacher, you must have the first of all, your first target is to know the previous knowledge, because the previous knowledge always helping a teacher to construct the new knowledge. The prior knowledge could reduce the cognitive loads leading to the better learning engagements. I think this particular point is so easy. Hope all of you clear the principle of a utilization of a past experience. Let's see for the another general principle of a teaching, the principle of flexibility. Difference, I am telling very frankly, teaching is not a static activity, and teaching is not about just explaining and transferring the information. Teaching totally depends upon the situation, and how the situation, as a teacher you don't know. As per the situation, you start to behave inside the classroom. For this reason, I can say teaching purely a flexible activity. Let's move and give a look to the slide also. The teaching way must be flexible. Teaching way must be flexible. It need to be changed according to the classroom situation and the need of the students. The teachers should be imaginative and resourceful people so that they can adapt the strategy according to the need of the classroom environment. That means what's the teacher's activity, the teachers don't know also. As per the situation, the teachers start to behave inside the classroom. For this reason, I can say teaching is purely flexible, and that particular principle the teacher have to kept in mind while inside the classroom. But anyway, this particular principle, I hope it is clear. Let's go back for the next principle, the principle of child-centeredness. Difference, this particular points I am telling very frankly, in this 21st century, the child is the focus point inside the classroom. The teacher is not the focus points. This particular principle you have to keep in mind. The modern education system is child-centered, is given a special focus upon child-centeredness. According to the National Curriculum Framework, the students are active participants and the teachers are the facilitator. From these two lines, I am so much clear. Teacher acting teacher is just a helper. The teacher have to help to the students. The real knowledge constructor right now, it is in the hand of the students. And whenever I am telling child-centeredness, from this I am so much clear. Everything is according to the child's. So the teaching should be according to the child's needs, ability, interests. If it is according to the child's needs, if it is according to the child's ability, if it is according to the child's interest, your teaching is going to be success inside the classroom. That means this particular principle is very much important. Though it is a general principle, but I think it is the first principle. As a teacher, you have to do these particular things. So the teaching should be according to the child's needs, and anyway, I can say the activity based so that the students can learn with the active participant, and the students should be active participants. But anyway, this particular principle is so much clear with the students. If anyone having any confusion, you can ask to me through your chat box. Let's see the second principle, the principle of a conducive environment. That means I am telling very frankly, the success of a teaching also depends upon the environments. As the environments show the teaching, I am telling very frankly, because we need a good environment for the better teaching learning process. There must be a proper arrangement of the lights, furniture, and other needful resource. The teachers should maintain the proper order and the discipline. And one thing here, if you look into the John Dewey's concepts, John Dewey telling education or teaching is a tripolar process. Inside this tripolar process, one more pole is also there, the environments. The three poles are there. I am giving a very much reminding to all of you, the students, teacher, and environments. And no one can deny the role of the environments. For this, and one information also I am sharing here from the research point of view. I am telling very frankly, the environment is more powerful than that of the heredity. For this reason, as environment, so the child's. as a teacher, you have to keep in mind this particular principle to maintain a good environment inside the classroom. Hope this particular point is very much clear, because whenever the video is going to be so lengthy, maybe the students, they are feeling very much bored. But one thing, if you have giving a concentration, you are in a position to understand all the principle in a systematic way. Let's move for the next points. Difference, the second, another point I want to say to all of you, the individual difference. I'm telling very frankly, whenever the teacher going to the classroom, the teacher meeting the 50 minds at a time, because whenever there is a 50 students inside the classroom, each student is unique in nature. The 50 students means 50 minds. As a teacher, until and unless if you are not binding these 50 minds into a single minds, you cannot teach inside the classroom. For this reason, you should keep in mind the concept of individual difference. As we know, every child is different from each other. The teacher should be kept in mind the individual difference while teaching, and he should teach according to child's ability and interests. One thing, as a teacher, you have to remember, and each students have a unique in nature, and you should understand their psychological aspects, and then you start to teach. And as a teacher, you should remember this particular principle, the principle of individual difference. Let's see the another principle. Difference, if you are talking about the principle of linking with actual life, and while you are teaching inside the classroom, try to give example. It is linking with the student's life, and if you are giving the example with the student's life and the student's actual life or day-to-day life, that classroom is going to be more interesting, because the student, they can give a concentration to you, and they are trying to understand the concept so easily. Let's see, and I try to give a link to the slide also. According to the NCF 2005, the learning should be beyond the learning beyond the four wall of the classroom or the school. Teaching should be linked with the real life experience of everyday life. It is not only motivate the students but also makes them easy to learn a lesson. In teaching the lesson, the teachers should give a appropriate example with the students in the day-to-day life activity. From these particular things, I am telling very frankly, as a teacher, while you are teaching inside the classroom, you should give a example which linking with our day-to-day life. If you are giving this particular example, the students, they learn better, the students, they understand the concept so easily, and your classroom is going to be so effective, your classroom is going to be so interesting also. And this particular principle you have to keep in mind as a teacher while you are inside the classroom. Let's move for the next things. Maybe and try to understand all the things. Friends, I want to say to you the principle of utilization of a past experience. This particular point already I am explaining in the slide. I am not giving a special focus upon this particular point. Let's move for the principle of selection. The teacher should select the contents that can be more relevant and up to date to learner's objective. Friends, the principle of a selection is also playing a significant role. While you are selecting one content, you should understand how much that particular content is relevant for the students. If this content is relevant for the students, you can choose that particular content. For this reason, you should have a capacity to select you should have a capacity to select the concepts, and that content should have a relevant for the students. If it is relevant for the students, they can learn. If it is not relevant for the students, they cannot learn. For this reason, you should keep in mind this particular principle. While you are going to the classroom, you should judge that particular content, whether this particular content is useful for the students or not useful for the students. If it is useful, it is going to be so interesting inside the classroom. If it is not useful, students, they are not ready to listen to you. From this, I am so much clear. While you are inside the classroom, you should choose the appropriate contents. This is very much useful for the teacher. If you want to be a successful teacher, you should have this particular capacity. Let's move for the another principle, the principle of activity. Friends, I am telling very frankly, as a teacher, the students should be active if you are using this particular principle. Until and unless the students are not active inside the classroom, your teaching is not going to be success inside the classroom. This principle states that the students actually learned by the doing. It includes both the physical and the mental activity. That means one thing I am telling very frankly, whenever you are teaching inside the classroom, if you make active students physically and mentally, your classroom is going to be success. Now a question arises, how come we can making the students physically and mentally active and give them some project work. Tell to them make a chart. I can give a best example with regard to this. Suppose I am teaching to students the solar system of solar system. I can tell to them make a project upon the solar system. Whenever they are doing the solar, making a charts or projects or model during that particular time, they are physically and mentally the students engaged. And once the student physically and mentally engaged, in that particular case, learning is something different. For this reason, while you are inside the classroom, try to make such a situation by which they can, the physically and mentally the students are engaged inside the classroom. If they physically and mentally engaged in the classroom, you are going to be a more successful teacher, and the content is going to be realized more also. And this thing you have to remember. This active and this 21st century and a new education policy and our NEP 86 also giving special focus upon this particular principle, the principle of activity. Let's move further another principle. Let's move further another general principle, the principle of a division. Dear friends, one thing remember, whenever there is a concept, try to make it simple. Try to divide the concept into small concepts. I think everybody who had the frame of the program instruction. The program instruction was telling, make a small frame, and that is the principle of a division. That suppose I am teaching inside the classroom to the students national integration. Before I am explaining the concept of national integration, I have to divide the concepts. I have to explain in front of the students what is national first. Then after that I can explain to the students what is integration. Then if I am coming back to the national integration, the students are in a position to understand to you. Again I can giving again this particular principle I can giving a justification to all of you. Suppose I am teaching to the students social change. I have to explain the students what is change first. Then I can come back to the what is social. Then students are in a position to understand the concept of a social change. That means the principle of a revision, the principle of a division is very much useful. And you can look to the slide also. The teacher should divide each content into small units for effective teaching. Every point can be explained properly. I am already given the example. I hope this particular point is so much clear. The principle of a division. And if you are doing this particular activity, I am telling very frankly, you are in a position. The student, they can understand your concept so nicely. Principle of a revision. Difference, this particular principle is very much needed. As a teacher, whenever you are going to the classroom, what you taught yesterday, try to give a recap. Try to have a revision first. Suppose yesterday I am teaching my students about the teaching and the nature of teaching. My first task for today, I can review. First, I will do the revision 5 to 10 minutes. Within 2 minutes, I can giving a revision to my students. What I am teaching yesterday. If I am giving a revision and giving a linking to today's class, my classroom is going to be something different, and that students, they are in a position to understand better. Let's see what the slide telling. Principle of revision. There must be a proper revision of the contents. Good teachers should repeat a lesson or learning. Proper exercise should be done written in the knowledge. That means we need a little bit exercise before going to the today's topic. Whatever you are teaching yesterday, if I done little bit exercise, I think that is known as a revision. And each teacher, they are doing this particular activity, I think so the students, they are getting a clear cut knowledge about the yesterday's class, or also they are in a position to understand the concept so easily. I hope this particular point is clear, and everybody should give a special focus upon these particular things. Let's move for the next slides. Dear friends, in the next slide there is no concepts. Only thank you for all of you, because all of you listening to me from the last 24 minutes, 16 seconds, 17 seconds, and your patience giving a success to me. And if you listen to me 24 minutes properly about the general principle of a teaching, I hope all of you clear the concept so nicely. Dear friends, during my explanation, maybe you are feeling boring, maybe you are feeling very much irritation is coming to you. But if you listen to me 24 minutes, your general principle about teaching is so much clear. Because inside my classroom, I have touched so many points. principle of a definite, principle of a planning, then principle of a utilization of a past experience, principle of a flexibility, and a principle of a flexibility, principle of a child-centeredness, principle of conducive environments, principle of individual difference, principle of linking with actual life, principle of selection, principle of activity, principle of division, principle of revision. We already completed successfully. Thank you to all of you giving a concentration to me and listening my video. And before leaving my class, I am giving a sweet remembering to all of you. Go for the subscription, give a like to me, give a like to the channel, sharing with your friends. And if you are doing this activity, 3 activities, this particular DKP Edu Plus, always with the students and coming with the new videos, coming with the new concepts, and keep inspiring me. I will give coming with a new video again in my next class. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to all of you.